Now it's perfect! Hello everyone, I'm Renzo Mox, your host, and today I wish to talk to you about something very interesting. It's been on my mind for a while. Video games. They're pretty cool, right? Maybe you don't play them, but you gotta admit, it's pretty cool. You know what else is pretty cool? Bionicle. You see where I'm getting at? You know, you just take the two, put them together. Bionicle video games. Bionicle got massively popular at some point in the early 2000s, so yeah, it wasn't hard to see how a bunch of video games are made about it. So I just want to take a little dive into Bionicle games of yore, just to see, you know, where we've gone and, you know, what kind of games there were at the time. For the record, I'm not going to go through all of them, and for the record, I haven't played all of them. I know that's kind of cheap, probably should have played them myself to get a real full perspective, but honestly, my current living situation, I just can't do that, so maybe one day I'll redo this video, but probably not. So yeah, basically we'll just be looking at a couple of key entries into the series and just talking about them for a bit. It all started back on the good old Game Boy with a little game we like to call Tahunga's Tale. That's not the name of the game. I'm gonna check I don't know what it's called. Okay, my bad. It's called Bionicle Tales of the Tahunga. It was later changed to Bionicle Quest for the Toa. That's not confusing at all. So this was a Game Boy Advance game released way back in 2001, and it was actually a prequel to Mnog, a game that we're going to talk about a little bit later, because Mnog is a big one. That's one that literally everyone ever talks about when they bring up Bionicle game. Yeah, it all started with Tales of the Tahunga, but if you guys know the whole deal with the name change from Tahunga to Matoran, it's one of those big issues, you know. Basically the Maori people were like, yo, that's not very nice. Don't call them Tahunga. That's mean. Tahunga's important. And Lego was like, I don't know, we were just making up words. We just found a Maori dictionary and, you know, that's how we got all our names. Anywho, Tales of the Tahunga was this little isometric little game where you played as Takua. Well, you're supposed to play as Takua. I mean, you can make a Matoran whoever you want, but it's supposed to be Takua. You're running around, you're exploring the island of Motunui, you're talking to all the little dudes. It's a good time. I'm not really a big fan of the isometric games. They did that with Spyro. I'm pretty sure they probably did that with Crash at one point. I just don't like games like that. They're really hard for my eyes to even perceive what's going on. So I was never a big fan of those types of games. But hey, you gotta start somewhere, so it was interesting that that's the place where they actually started. Now next up, it's not a video game. Well, technically it's a video game. It's an online game called... This is definitely the most popular Bionicle game out there. It was pretty big. I know people who still play it to this day. Basically, you play as Takua, and you're walking around the island of Motunui, and you're looking around, and you're asking people questions, and going on a little adventure. It's basically exactly the same as Tales of the Tahunga. Yeah. But hey, it's a point-and-click adventure game, which is kind of cool, and plus, exploring the island of Motunui is really cool. You get to see a bunch of lore. The animation style is pretty cool, too. It's limited, obviously, but it's very nice to look at. It's got a very definitive look, and I totally see why this is a lot of people's favorite Bionicle game. It's pretty dang good. I'm an old man, though, so whenever I play this game, I immediately want to put it down because I have no idea where I'm going. Also, whenever I play, I never have any chance to save, so I always lose my progress, and yeah, it's just not my type of game. I get why it took off, totally. I see the key appeal of the game, but it's just not for me. Though, I do admit, it's very impressive, and I did enjoy playing Mnog. It's just not what I would have wanted out of a Bionicle game, that's for sure. There was also a Mnog sequel, but from what I've read, this game seems to be completely unfinished. You know, missing files, glitchy, and that's a huge shame considering how well the first Mnog did. Now, I've never played it personally, but again, it does look interesting, but because it's unfinished, I'm a little hesitant to actually jump in and play it.
Gather round, children, and allow me to tell you the tale of a cancelled Bionicle PC game, which was ultimately scrapped due to many issues. This was Bionicle The Legend of Matanui.
Now, this was a cancelled PC game, like I said, so it never actually got released, and that sucks. However, multiple betas have been up to play. People have dedicated themselves to finishing this game, and I gotta say, God bless them, man. This game is totally up my alley. I'm a 3D platformer man myself, so whenever I see something like this makes me very happy. And Bionicle never really did get too many 3D platformers, only one other one which actually released, which I suppose we'll talk about. I don't really want to, but we're going to talk about it anyways. Either way, this game would have been awesome if it actually released. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but from what little I've seen, the game looked really fun. You know, it looked really fun to explore the island, fight all the elemental dudes, which all the concept art and stuff looks really cool. I think this game could have been really fun if they actually released it. Apparently there was going to be a GameCube port and a PlayStation port, and that would have been awesome too. Just because, you know, I'm a 3D platformer, man. So I would have dug the crap out of that game. But unfortunately, like I said, it is canceled. Luckily, I'm pretty sure you can find it pretty easily. You can find betas online. People are dedicating themselves to finishing the game once and for all, which is very nice. I do appreciate that the fandom has come together in order to finish this basically unplayable game. But hey, it's really cool that it's actually being pieced together. So I would check out any project supporting that game. I would get on that. Now next up, this is the big stinker. Bionicle The Game. Yeah, great title, guys. Basically, this was supposed to be the big first Bionicle video game. The first mainline 3D platformer, big main video game. So obviously there was a lot of anticipation for this game. I say that, but I don't know, because I was but a baby when the game released. The game didn't do too hot. Yeah, basically everyone hated this game, and justified. I'm pretty sure it got rushed or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but either way, the game is pretty much unfinished. There's just so much that is cut out and so much that's skipped around from the game that it's honestly really sad. It's really disappointing because the game could have had massive potential, but as far as I'm aware, the game really just didn't do anything interesting. It kind of had a couple interesting concepts, but then they just kind of gave up. I'm pretty sure most of the characters play exactly the same. There's no interesting locations. The platforming is janky. Everything like that, which would drown the experience of the game out. And that is a big shame because honestly, the game does, like I said, looks like it has potential. I love 3D platformers, and if this was done well, this could have been a classic 3D platformer. But unfortunately, due to time constraints or what have you, lack of effort, the game just didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, and that's a huge shame. Whenever there's a big game that someone's working on, you want it to be good. You want it to have a lot of oomph packed into it, but unfortunately it seems like it wasn't in the case for Bionicle The Game. So this game has been well known for just being pretty lame, honestly, which again is a shame. I really wish that there was a lot more put into it, but oh well, what are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do about it now. The game is so old. Also, there's this. I just want to show this. This is funny. I don't know. Just enjoy.
Oh, he's got the
Let's take
mask
a
of...
closer look at your shadows.
What? 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 No. 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 No!
Now, unfortunately, Bionicle games on console didn't really have too many outings. Because after Bionicle the Game, that was pretty much it. There were games on the Game Boy and DS and things like that, but not really any mainline console games, and that's a huge shame. But we did get Bionicle Heroes, which is probably the most well-received Bionicle game, but it's also Bionicle Heroes. Bionicle Heroes isn't really that good. I mean, looking at it, it's just not very well done. Nonetheless, I could totally get why someone enjoys this game. I do actually own this game. I've played it, and I used to love it a lot as a kid because it was simple and easy, but yeah, that's the problem. There really is no challenge. If you're like me who wants to collect and blow up everything on screen, you're going to have an easy time because you're going to go gold mode, and the chances of you dying is pretty rare because honestly the game is just so easy. But Bionicle Heroes was an ambitious project, to be sure. It was a shooter, which is interesting, over-the-shoulder shooter. I wouldn't expect that for Bionicle, but this was 2006. It was definitely the era of, oh, we gotta make Bionicle as cool as possible. Let's make it a shooter, because that's cool, I guess. Yeah, it's a weird concept. It is fun to see all the fan service and crazy nonsense going on in this game, but it is kind of just inane, and it doesn't really have an overall point. It's kind of aimless, but at the same time, I could totally see why people could have fun with this one. It is probably the best Bionicle console game, that's for sure, but other than that, it is pretty weak in a lot of other areas.
I actually do like this game. I think it's very well polished in a lot of areas. The environments look nice for the time, and not perfect. It's 2006. But I do think it looks pretty solid overall. The character models aren't perfect. Again, there is some jank to them, but it's pretty solid, all things considered. The game's weakest core is just a lack of challenge. Anyone could really pick up this game and beat it because of how easy and simple it is, but that doesn't make it terrible.
And yeah, Bionicle games weren't really a thing anymore. I mean, there were tons of Flash games. Don't even get me started. There were so many Flash games. So many memories of people just playing these Flash games. Hey, sometimes people liked the Flash games way more than the console games. So there's that. Because they were fun, simple, little things to play on the internet. But I am sad that Bionicle never really got any really good console games. You know, I would have loved to see a proper, really good 3D platformer for Bionicle. I'm really sad that that never happened. I mean, they tried and failed, but yeah, that's the big problem. So overall, those were Bionicle games, and like I said, there really aren't that many. I know I didn't cover them all. There's actually a surprising amount of canceled games that I didn't cover, which, hey, that sucks. I hate when games get canceled. It's really sad to not see games go full on. Bionicle was a big company, and a lot of it was put onto the story, and it's a big problem that the games really didn't do anything spectacular, so that is pretty sad, but oh well, no point in crying about it now. All we can do is talk about Lego games, right?
Oh no!
That's the thing too, it's weird that the Bionicle games never really tried to adopt the same style as the traditional Lego games. They never even tried. Lego games have such a basic formula nowadays that works. They're pumping out Lego games like crazy, it doesn't really matter. The only time that they really got close to doing that was Bionicle Heroes, but even then it was a shooter. It was pretty different. So it's weird that TT never actually adopted this style and changed it into the modern Lego game format. It's a big shame. I would have appreciated if TT actually made a game for Bionicle 2015 and 2016. That would have been really interesting if they did it right. But I guess all we can do is look back and admire the legacy, the really surprisingly short legacy of the Bionicle video games. So, thank you for joining me on my little journey of Bionicle games. Maybe one day I'll talk about the Game Boy games, maybe one day the Flash games, but until then, thank you all for joining me. I'm Rental Mox, and I will see you guys in my toaster. Good night.